Bruce Springsteen gets a bad rap, man. He's got some great songs.
Springsteen gets a bad rap from who? Just from me.
You'd actually be surprised. There are a lot of people who hate Bruce Springsteen.
There's an active Bruce Springsteen hate group right now? Wow.
It is actually. I was. Trust me, I was at a concert.
Was it a Bruce Springsteen concert?
Yes.
There were haters at a Bruce Springsteen concert?
No.
That doesn't add up.
No, let me explain. It'll all make sense if you go full circle, you see. Okay, so there were like 15,000 people at this concert.
Naturally.
Half of them were old people, half of them were hipsters. You know how it goes with classic rock. And so I go home and I was like, man, that was really good, because this is the first time I've ever seen Bruce Springsteen live. And
was the E Street Band involved?
Yes, the E Street Band is
a
thing. Yeah, that's who he played.
That's any band that plays behind him is the E Street Band. Doesn't have to have the original members. We don't care. We don't know their names.
Hey, Clarence Clemens we knew, but he died. And
see, we didn't know that. You knew that.
You knew that. I didn't know that.
Right. Remember, and you're the third generation kid right now too.
I know.
Welcome to Riding the Pine, the only show that would be greatly improved by hearing Skip Bayless talk about Deflategate for hours upon hours until you want to end your own life. Only to discover that it was all a dream. But when you walk into the bathroom after waking, you discover that you're Skip Bayless. But then you wake up again in a cold sweat and realize you're not Skip Bayless at all. You're Jake, and you have to write an opening for Riding the Pine instead. No! So I have John with me, and also newcomer Dominic. Dominic, tell us about yourself.
Hello, I'm Dominic. I am a novice pine rider, loser teenager from Syracuse who likes sports, and I'm here to talk about them. So that's my life story. We had
to recruit a young person so that we're hip with the kids and their dank memes and Pokemon Goes and the I don't know what other stuff you guys are into.
You are such a Pokemon hipster. You know that, Jake?
I definitely am.
I feel like you guys are talking about hips a lot because you got an old guy in the room.
The generational gap is ridiculous here.
You're killing me.
Like, you could be my dad if you were really sexually active at like 12, and I could be his dad if I was really sexually active at 12. This is all working out.
And I have a child that's at least as old as him. So
yeah, it's all weird. It's all weird, man. I don't know what to think of this. Should call someone.
So anyway, this is going to be awkward, but we don't actually have much of a rundown today. The entire rundown includes three sort of words I wrote down. I guess it's top quarterback debate.
Yeah.
Are you guys excited? We're going to do our top 5 quarterbacks in the league still this year. So finally Peyton Manning gets out of that discussion because he was great last year. And we're also going to do our who do we think will break out at quarterback this year picks, because there's nothing going on in sports, and we still have to put stuff out because we're horse. Pay attention to us.
Got to get them clicks.
That's right, all 100 of them.
Dance monkeys.
We're gonna run down our top 5 quarterbacks, and how this is gonna work is each of us are gonna go like, okay, here's number 5, and then I will argue on behalf of my number 5, and so on, and then Dominic will go, and then John will go, and we'll do that up until number 1, and then I will be right, and they will be garbage, even if they agree with me. So, Dominic, since you're the new guy,
hey,
right into the fucking fire. Who is the number 5 top quarterback in the NFL as you see it?
All right, now,
and this is kind of predictive, by the way. Because this could be terrible.
I think Drew Brees.
Okay.
Still top 5. And let me tell you why. Because even though the Saints were middling, 7-9 season, whatever, he still performed consistently well. He had 66% completion rate. He had, that's 68.3% completion rate, so better than I thought. He had great yardage, 4,870 yards in the whole season. He was just all around good while his team sort of floundered. And I think that's something to be said for someone who's still consistently good even when they're on a bad team.
He also got me like 49 points in one game last season against the Giants.
Yes, it was against the Giants because they throw for a combined 13 or 14 touchdowns in that game.
It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous.
It was great because I had just traded Ryan for Drew Brees, and I gave him like nobody that worked out for him. It was great. He also gave me a draft pick because we have a keeper draft. It's fantastic.
And then he still won the league.
It's okay. Katrina still happened.
Oh.
You know, I like Drew Brees. Spoilers, he's not in my top 5. Because man, he's so old. I feel like eventually it's got to stop, right? It's the Tim Duncan rule in my head. Like, he was good last year, and I would like to have had him. And I have the overall stats. I think he was up there. Yeah, he was number 3 overall in total QBR at 75.5. He was good. His team sucks balls though. Their like defense was garbage.
The thing with quarterbacks and age is that you can't really tell whether or not an aging quarterback's going to be good till the next season starts. So I'm holding out hope that he's still going to be good when the season rolls around. That's my hope because I like Drew Brees. I cheered for him at the Super Bowl.
It's like the bottom falls out on old quarterbacks, though, and they just one day don't have it anymore. Like, it happened to Peyton last season, and we saw it, and it was just kind of like, what happened to that? Like, strange. He was pretty fantastic the year before, right?
It was heart-wrenching to watch, honestly, kind of.
Yeah, it was strange to watch the wheels fall off right in the middle of the season.
It was like game 9 or 8, and he threw an interception, and it was like nobody near him, and I was like, Peyton, it's over, man. Game over, man.
He still went out on his terms, though, didn't he?
Winning a Super Bowl is a pretty good way to go out.
And it's watching Peyton last year was like, remember when Dick Clark had a stroke?
Ooh.
And then they kept putting him on the fucking end of the year thing, and you're like, oh, can you get this stroke guy off, please? It's like, and we're like, yeah, we appreciate what he did. We're like, oh my God. Now, like, can you believe it? He made us desire Ryan Seacrest.
Ooh.
That's what happened with Peyton Manning. He made us want the Brock Lobster, and then Houston got him. I wish Lou was here so he could lament about Brock Lobster, but he's not. Poor Lou.
We'll get to hear plenty of it, I'm sure.
So, John, who's your number 5?
So, I went with Tom Brady at number 5.
Okay.
Now,
it's probably lower than some people have him.
Right, exactly. Now, also, spoiler, Drew Brees is on my list.
Okay, well, he's higher than Tom.
Yes.
Thomas Archibald Brady. I don't know his middle name.
Controversial opinions. This isn't good for clicks.
I like Archibald. That's a good middle name. We'll stick with that. Thomas Bartholomew Archibald Brady. No,
it's actually actually he has 2. It's Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Huh.
Nice.
At some point, the parents just have to say stop with the naming.
Right.
Like one name, like at one point, there's too many names for your kid.
My girlfriend's 6-year-old has a friend named Bridger. I couldn't make that up. That's a fucking occupation.
I feel, oh man, like
that's awful.
That's very millennial.
Yeah, it's terrible. No, they're all like that. It's like Tristan and fucking, I don't know.
Wait, are they Mormon?
John, make your case for Thomas Archibald Brady.
So, obviously, we have the issue that Tom Brady is the number 1 quarterback to ever play the game. I think that's...
I'd say so, right?
I feel like I can make that statement.
Yeah.
I don't like the people that cling on to Montana just because he had Jerry Rice, because Tom Brady's breaking those records with 1 year with Randy Moss.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, I respect the hell out of Joe Montana and what he did, but the game has changed, and people are just naturally getting bigger and stronger due to all the new training techniques and everything that's going on right now. So at some point, you got to let the old guard die.
and Joe Montana isn't dead yet. But some other people probably. I think Peyton Manning will die before Joe Montana.
Honestly, I would bet on it.
God, he just looks so garbage. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. Hey, the tangents are good. They add body to the show.
Tell me why, John.
That was our plan all along.
So,
Tell me why.
Tom Brady. The reason he falls to number 5 is obviously he still has another 4-game suspension to serve. But the reason, even with that 4-game suspension coming back to haunt him, he's still going to win the AFC East, as much as I fucking hate to say it.
Yeah.
He's still going to win the AFC East. So he makes my top 5 because he's going to win the AFC East playing 75% of the games.
Man, Jimmy Garoppolo is a good-looking dude, though.
Yeah, and I think he'll win at least 2 of the games that he's going to start. So 14-2. That's what I'm expecting out of the Patriots this fucking year as a Dolphins fan.
I was gonna say, for the record, John's a Dolphins fan, so this is a deep,
your life
brooding
must be
hatred.
so hard.
Okay, so I respect the Tom Brady at number 5 pick. My number 5, I might get hate for this. I don't know. My number 5 is Cam Newton. He's not higher than that.
Woo!
He can't. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'm looking. I know he was the MVP. I know he was. But I'm looking at numbers, man. I'm looking at him.
Yep.
The dude completed 59.8% of his passes.
Yeah, sub 60.
Sub 60. He had a passer rating of 99. And granted, he didn't have Kelvin Benjamin.
Yes.
Okay, he had like nobody to throw to except Greg Olson, who looks like a human thigh that decided to be a football player. And like, he's just a big play guy, but he also threw double-digit interceptions. He threw 10 of them. And again,
yeah,
I know he doesn't really have people to throw to, and he's a running quarterback, so it's valued differently.
Right. But also, you're looking at 10 interceptions on 35 touchdowns, though.
Well, sure, he had 35 touchdowns, and most of those came like in the red zone. And again, that's fantastic. The read option is his friend, but I just don't think like that means he's a great quarterback. I just think that means he's physically capable of running the read option really, really well. I just can't. All right. I looked at it, and I looked at the numbers, and I wanted to dab or whatever he's going to do this season because he said he's retiring the dab. But I can't, man. I have like 4 other people in front of him that I would definitely take in front of him before I start a team. If I'm starting a team, he's up there. He's my 5th guy, and Drew Brees is below him. And let's assume I'm only doing a team for 1 season because that's not fair because he's younger. But I can't put him over top of these other guys. And yeah, he was the MVP, and he started probably the worst thing I've ever seen white people do in my life. But I just can't. By the way, he was the 9th overall quarterback last season. 66.1 total QBR. Tyrod Taylor, Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins, Andy Dalton all outranked him.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Now I'm confused then. Why is there such a disparity between his QBR and his QB and his rating? Because he's got a rating of 99.4.
Yeah, it's total QBR, which takes into account all play types. It takes into account efficiency on a metric level, much like player efficiency rating in the NBA. It's a much more detailed, or like a on base plus slugging percentage in baseball. Okay. It just kind of gives you an overview of effectiveness. And while he scored a fuck ton of touchdowns, it didn't make for a great QBR, total QBR.
Good point.
Because he was good at quarterback rating was 99.4. Yeah. By the way, Tom Brady had a 102.2. So yeah, dab number 5, and it's now a fact. All right, let's reverse it. John, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is probably going to be a bit of a surprise. I'm actually looking forward to the reactions on this. Ben Roethlisberger.
I agree.
Are you number 4 as well with the Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah, I am.
Interesting.
Look,
okay, I am not.
I'll-
How is he? Okay, lower than the other 3 guys, right? So how is he number 4?
He's number 4 in my book because the guy is a proven winner. It starts with a gut feeling for me. And it continues on to when you look at the fact that he had a 95 QB rating last year. He threw for 3,000 yards. His touchdown interception rating sucks, but part of that is because he had a shitty line, but he still only got sacked 20 times. The guy does not go to the ground, and that's obviously been known about him his entire career. I think this year's going to be different. I think that they're going to win the North, and I think he's going to...
I think they could win the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's
I mean, they're a really good team. They're ridiculous. Suddenly, the steel curtain is more like I don't know any steel references, but they're whatever the steel curtain is on offense.
A spear. A spear is
a spear.
Yeah.
That's steel spear. That has too much. That has too much lingo going on for your mouth to be happy with that. Anyways, why is he number 4 in your book?
Basically, all the same reasons John outlined. The guy has always been a game winner. He's always come through in the clutch. He's able to use his size very effectively. Despite his horrible line, he still threw like 72.7, I believe is the exact percentage completion. He is just a tank, and I think that he might be even higher on this list when the next year's season's done. I think he's just a proven viable weapon at all times, despite his team's lacking boosting in performance.
All his weapons like to smoke the ganja. Just stop smoking weed, dudes. Just don't do it. I like it. It's fine. Some people smoke it. But you're in the NFL, bro. Like, don't do it. Just don't do it. Do whatever's legal.
I agree with you, but I'd also like to see the NFL change their policy.
Same. I agree. It helps with pain management.
Yeah, exactly.
like I think that's a good thing. But professional sports, body is a temple sort of business. It is like your place of work is not the field or the gym or between the hash marks. It's your body. That's where you win. So I get it. Like, it's great to smoke weed every once in a while, but Martavis Bryant, what the fuck, bro? Like, Le'Veon, dude, just don't do it. Just don't do it.
No, I can't bring myself to care what people do with marijuana. I don't do it myself, but it's just not an issue. But if it's not allowed and you're a potential weapon for your athletic team...
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Right. No, I don't care if you do it. Like, if you are just you like work at a bus stop, smoke all the weed. Be high, and literally do not spend a conscious moment other than the first few moments after you awake. Like, sleep still in your eyes, blaze that shit up, smoke all day. I don't give a fuck. But when my fantasy season is on the line, I can fucking smoke.
You get suspended, I lose to Ryan again.
So, actually, Ben Roethlisberger kind of fucked me a couple times. I missed the playoffs, and I had Antonio Brown. Just saying. Anyways, just saying. He fucked me by getting hurt. He didn't smoke weed. He did rape a person once, though. Twice. 3 times, probably. Anyways, my number 4 is Thomas Archibald Brady. He's number 4. He's not number 5 in my book. You guys are agreeing too much.
This is the issue. This is the issue we're running into right now. We seem to be bunched up at the bottom. So
the dude threw only 7 interceptions last year, and Julian Edelman is his best receiver. I mean, Gronk is his best receiver, but he's hurt all the time. And he still managed to throw 36 motherfucking touchdowns, and he had the best quarterback rating since 2011. His personal best quarterback rating since 2011. Like, the dude just will not stop. And by the way, he threw for 661 more yards than last season. And last season he was excellent. So he just doesn't stop. I feel like he's also going to fall off a cliff at some point.
What
like
is he?
Peyton
How
Manning.
old is he right now?
I think he's
30
36.
something.
36, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
That's
pretty old.
Maybe
He's been
37.
But 17 years.
That's like 2 or 3 years before Brett Favre started to taper off.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously quarterbacks have an easier job, and he had a year off in 2008.
Right.
And it was, I mean, I'm going to say it was just a knee, but I mean, it wasn't like his back or something. Like, it was a knee that's obviously fine. He's played every single game since.
Right.
Although he's not going to play the first 4 of this season. Sorry, Boston. But also the dude, he likes soft, supple muscle, according to his dietitian. And he has a super weird diet that's keeping him super young forever. Dominic, you weren't here for that episode. Tom Brady has the weirdest fucking diet in the whole world.
I did watch it, though, and man, I want to meet that nutritionist. He must be the weirdest dude of
I
all
imagine,
time.
what was that guy, that obviously gay guy that lost like 300 pounds?
Oh, Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons, that's the one. Dick Simmons. And,
Good old
yeah.
Dickie Simmons.
Richard Simmons was like dance your butt off or something. I imagine that guy, but a dietitian, basically, like Richard Simmons' brother, Pritchard Simmons. I don't know, but just like eat kale. Dwayne Simmons. And fucking we eat more kale. The dude isn't allowed tomatoes, so
Why?
obviously because it's. Hey, don't worry about it. It's those are a treat.
But how's he getting his free radicals?
Do you don't want free radicals, or do you? I don't know how that works. I basically eat just whatever's in front of me. I'm kidding. I don't. I made chicken tortilla soup tonight. Chicken tortilla soup. It was delightful. I made it from scratch. Also, his kids were like allowed like fruit bark, like a vegan fruit bark for treats.
Is that a thing?
That's fruit, yeah. Not bark like a tree, like really old petrified fruit, roll up type gelatinous bark, and then chew on it, and their teeth
Like
are
that
broken.
stuff they sell at shitty candy shops?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I had an uncle that used to bring health chocolate. He was a great uncle. He used to bring health chocolate, and what it tasted like was the inside of an ass. And I was like 4. I shouldn't know what rim jobs taste like, but I did because he brought rim jobs on a stick to us, and they were awful. And I gotta tell you, I was not sad when he died.
Oh.
That was the first time I saw my dad cry, and I didn't give a fuck. So that tells you what kind of person I am, and also what type of person my great uncle Dale was. Fuck you, Dale, for bringing me rim job chocolate. You made me the person I am today.
Hashtag Uncle Rimjob Chocolate.
I'll go first for number 3.
Right.
So I'm gonna double up on you fuckers. My number 3, and it hurts me. It's Russell Wilson, and I didn't want him anywhere near this fucking list, but I can't not. He's so good. Why is he so good?
Next, you're gonna tell me Alex Smith is on your list.
No,
and then
Alex Smith I can stomach. Russell Wilson has fucking nano bubble drinks, and he's awkward. Like last episode, he gave me scoliosis talking about his fucking. I had sex with Sierra. Kickle. We're adults, Russell. We all have sex. Like it happens. You're married. Of course you have sex. Of course you do.
And then after
in 3 years you'll resent each other. It's fine. Anyways,
and then after you tell me that Alex Smith made your list, you're gonna tell me that Brian Hoyer is your breakout quarterback. That's where this list is
Hoyer
going, Jake.
Had his breakout year last year, sir, and that's the ceiling. Yeah. When he looks up, he also sees a glass ceiling that he just can't break through. So he set career highs in like everything, except for interceptions. He had the most attempts of his career, 483. So he's almost to the 500 attempts club, which Tom Brady invented. He has had so many over 600. Anyways, Russell Wilson. Also, this year he's not going to have Marshawn Lynch, so he's going to have to throw a lot more. But if these stats carry over, holy fuck balls. 68.1% completion rating, 4,000 yards for the first time in his career, with an 8.33 yard average, which is a lot. That's almost a first down. 34 touchdowns passing, 8 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 110.1. 110.
He's insane.
It's ridiculous. And on top of that, he rushed for 489 yards, 4 touchdowns, only fumbled twice, only lost one of them. And he's played every game of his career. I hate the man that Russell Wilson is on a cellular level. I cannot stand his face or his mannerisms or his weird sausagey athlete fingers. I don't like him. But god damn it, he's good. He's good, and you should get him on your fantasy team. You should. And if you have an NFL team, you should have him too. Same reasons.
Now, what the people in the audience couldn't see is that Jake became very animated when he was flying around the room. He was like spinning in his chair.
I am not happy about it. I'm not making this up. I genuinely do not like Russell Wilson, and I hope Sierra's snaps his cock off.
Honestly, I think you were being a little generous with that 3-year resentment estimate. I gave them 1.5 years.
Dude, how does Sierra look at that man and go, "Yep, I would like to be with that"? Like, is she an idiot? Didn't she fuck Future? Isn't that?
Yes, she did.
Let me look at Future. Let me see what he looks like. Okay, she upgraded. Anyways, Russell Wilson, like, he even has bad hair. I don't even, like, it's like curly on top. It's all weird. I don't like it. And Seattle Seahawks fans are the worst. Like, they're all not from Seattle. I can't, every Oklahoma City Thunder fan is also a Seahawks fan, is also an LA Kings fan, is also a Macklemore fan.
But shit, it was 99 cents.
Anyways, someone please say someone other than Russell Wilson at
Drew
number 3.
Brees is my number 3. Now I know that he made Dom's number 5, right?
Yeah.
And Jakey was your number 4.
He's not on my list.
Oh, that's right. You said that he's not on your list. Well,
Thomas Carmichael Brady is.
So Drew Brees is my number 3, and the reason I put him ahead of Tom Brady is because he's going to get to play all 16 games, even though Tom is still going to win the fucking AFCs. But I can't put him any higher because of who my 2 and 1 are. But I mean, I realize he's 37 years old, but when you look at he was the number 1 passing leader for the year last year. You know,
yardage
with about
wise,
480 million yards.
Yeah. I mean, most like he threw for 500 and change in that one game.
Right. Yeah, he threw for 48-70 last year, but he also had 32 touchdowns with only 11 interceptions. He was sacked 31 times, but he still ended up with an overall rating of 101. But I agree with Mark Brunell in his assessment that I don't think he's going to fall off this year. He looks ready to go.
They were worried about it was like his collarbone or some shit last year.
Yeah, well, he's got he had the bad shoulder going into New Orleans, so.
I almost didn't start him against New York.
Oh, wow.
Because, well, they were like, oh, he's fucking hurt.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, but look at those numbers against New York. So I was like, nah. Like, I didn't consider it long, but I almost didn't. And then I did. And then I raped the world.
Yes, you did.
All right. Dominic, who's your number 3?
So I think you guys are going to absolutely hate me. You know why? Because my number 3 is Carson Palmer.
Oh, Carson.
I'm not going to hate you for that.
Here's the thing about Carson Palmer. He led the league in total quarterback rating last year, 82.1. He led the league. The next closest was Ben Roethlisberger at 76.9. No one else even hit 80. Like, it's Carson Palmer, though.
Right. That is a performance coming off of another
ACL.
Broken knee. Came off of that season not being able to play and basically ran the table. I really thought that they were going to end up in the Super Bowl. So I don't hate you for that pick at all. I think Carson Palmer is peeking, staring over my list going, where can I fit in there?
Yeah, you see, I'm not happy just because of how dumb Carson Palmer looks. Like, if you look at his face,
yeah,
he's got the dumbest fucking face.
Yeah, he does.
But the numbers speak for themselves. 4,671 yards last year, 63.7. Just insane, absolutely outrageous numbers, especially from a team, traditionally as middling as the Cardinals, to be able to go in there and do such great things. I really thought they were going to the Super Bowl, and I was disappointed when they didn't.
My God, he was like, it was so weird to watch because every game you're like, oh, it's not gonna happen again, right? It's Carson Palmer. He peaked with the Bengals.
He's got buck teeth. He can't be good.
He's so weird. And he was on the Raiders for a bit, and people forgot. Man,
he didn't forget that time.
No, who can, man? Like Carson Palmer. I have disrespected. You're not on my list. I don't like your face, and that's really what it came down to. To be fair, I hate Russell Wilson's more, but he's just way better than you. Sorry, Carson. I know you're watching.
So yeah. Who's next?
You can go again. Give me your number 2.
All right. My number 2 is actually Cam Newton. And I know.
Newton.
Here comes the debate. Oh, exciting. We're actually getting some tension here. Now, listen, I know that he doesn't have the highest rating in terms of overall performance, and
Sure.
I know he is kind of middling when it comes to deep passing and basically reading and
Poor Cam.
I think he's young, he's got a lot to go, and if we were going on a pure season, just next season, who's going to be best, he wouldn't be on this list. But he's got so much room for improvement, and he's so versatile as a weapon. He can, his running ability is pretty much unparalleled as a quarterback. I think that he has the capacity to be one of the greats in the future, maybe in the next 5 years.
I mean, he was the MVP last year. He is great right now, and he
Well,
single-handedly pulled them into fucking like the Super Bowl. But man, like Jonathan Stewart had to bust his ass, and that defense was incredible.
Josh Norman.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, and then they lost him. But I mean, I just can't. I just can't bring him up there in the elite. Because when I think quarterback, I think even if without like a good team around them, including the defense, are they going to win me a bunch of games? And I don't think if he plays from behind a ton, he's able to do that. Like, he had amazing field position last year, all year long. It's not, you don't really watch them because they can drive the ball 80 yards. You watch them because they're going to dink and dunk, and then they're going to throw over the top, and eventually Ted Ginn's going to catch one, or, they're just going to wear you down over the course of the game and chip away. Like Graham Gano is kicking all sorts of field goals. Man, again, he was the MVP, so I don't know why I'm so against him.
Well, the thing is, he was the MVP. The MVP always seems like a bit more like a popularity contest to me, and I was really struggling about putting him at number 2, just because of, like you said, he didn't break 60 for passing rate. That's really quite.
It's troubling.
Yeah, it is troubling for the future of his career, but I believe he can improve tremendously, and I believe if he becomes as versatile as a weapon as he has potential to be, if he focuses on getting that pass, rating up, I think he can be not just great, because he's great right now just because of that run option, but one of the greats, and I'll stand by that statement until he retires at 29 and still sucks in the passing game.
From injury.
So Jake, earlier I focused on the fact that Cam is sub 60 on his percentage, right? And it just came up again. He's also my number 2, and here's why.
You guys agree too much.
He is going to come back this season so angry that they will either win every game they play this year, or they will go 1-15. I really think
it's a fucking coin flip, bro.
I'm serious. It's gonna be all or nothing. He is so mad.
Like he's gonna go out and get himself blown up and get injured in the first game.
Fucking
gonna have fucking Joe Webb run.
I'm serious though. He's gonna be so angry He's so mad. I mean, think about that fucking press conference and how stupid he made himself look. He's coming back mad. And because of the fact that he was able to get there last year and got dismantled, but he got there. And everything that happened with that, I really think he's going to come back this year and just tear the freaking league up. And that's why I put him at number 2.
Man. I would not be surprised.
It's all anecdotal, Jake. It's all anecdotal.
If Cam improved.
An anecdotal
Because
evidence.
he was not great in the passing game. He didn't even run for the most yards he's ever run in a season or the most touchdowns. He also lost the most fumbles of his entire career. He threw double-digit interceptions. He just threw for more touchdowns.
And he still got the MVP.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, when you look at him, you think, oh, yeah, fucking Russian quarterback. He ran for 636 yards, which is a lot for a quarterback. But he also, it wasn't even his best. Like, this is his third best completion percentage. His rookie season was better. His rookie season was better in yards too. Right. So I mean, it's just weird. He sort of wobbles. It's not like a trajectory where you can see like he just continually improves. He just like it's weird. Also, they ran the offense a little bit different this year.
Yeah,
than they did last year,
I was about to say a lot of that can be chalked up to his team comp and the direction they went offensively.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm a gambling man, and I got those dice set on 7. You know?
I am also a gambling man, which is why my number 2 is Ben Roethlisberger.
Look at that.
Yeah, my number 2 quarterback in the league, and here is why. 68% completion.
Big time.
Okay? Now, he threw a lot of interceptions, and we talked about that a bit. He was banged the fuck up all season, right? He also has the best offensive weapons in the NFL. Like, he has Antonio Brown, and he has Le'Veon, and he has D'Angelo. As far as the spell back is concerned, he would have Martavis Bryant, but he also has that other guy who I'm forgetting, the wide receiver. He's just always good, and he stands in the pocket, and he can extend plays whenever he wants. And if he doesn't get injured this year, I would not be surprised if they fucking almost run the table and pull a Panthers this year, because they're so good. Like, you watch them on the field. They should have beat the Bengals.
Agreed.
In the playoffs last season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that game was garbage, but they're just so impressive. I think they have like 2 more years left of this before it really catches up to him, because I mean he's 34, but he's got more injuries than like most of his contemporaries,
right?
Just because he's such a physical guy. I mean, he's 6'5", 240. He's probably closer. He probably plays closer to 260 though. He looks humongous on the field. He's got a cannon. He's one of the only quarterbacks that's accurate long, and
never goes down
ever. Right? Yeah.
I mean,
he's
what did
crazy.
he give up? I think we said it earlier. 20 sacks, and I'd like to see the numbers on. I don't know who compiles those, but sacks broken, because the man can just avoid contact like a champ.
Before the NFL season starts, we're gonna do a fantasy show. Of course, we're probably gonna do a few of them, and I'm gonna go through the advanced metrics when we have more time. But I looked at them at the end of last season, and they have ways to grade the offensive line, and his was one of the worst, along with Matthew Stafford, and Andrew Luck had the worst, I think, or maybe it was the Raiders, but like on both sides of the balls. I know, poor Andrew Luck. He should be up in this list, but he didn't play enough last year for us to rate him. But yeah, so Ben Roethlisberger, if they win the Super Bowl, I will not be surprised whatsoever. I just won't be.
I also won't be surprised if we're looking at a Pittsburgh Carolina Super Bowl.
Same, which would be an awesome game.
I agree.
I would watch the shit out of that.
Right.
But I actually, looking back, I would probably switch Cam Newton and Ben Roethlisberger, because I'm a betting man, but Ben Roethlisberger is just so consistently good, and his line was so consistently garbage that I think he just deserves commendation for still being one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Keep in mind, he's getting knocked around that much. He set a career high in completion percentage.
Yeah.
Almost 70%. Almost 70.
Yeah.
Only played 12 games, threw for 3,900 yards.
Yeah.
like which was his looks like 5th best season of all time, and I mean the most interceptions, second most. He threw 23 in 2006. Didn't they win the Super Bowl in 06? But it was one of those seasons where I'm just begging him to get on the field because I have Antonio Brown on my fantasy team. But also, I just like watching the guy play. He's just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And he rapes people.
Oh
which
God.
Which isn't a good thing. Don't
Yeah,
do
that's not cool.
but it seems like we all have the same number 1. It looks like, because if he's not in the top 5 at some point, he's all our top 1. It's Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
It is.
I mean, how can you not pick Aaron Rodgers?
His
also
His Holiness.
He has a lot of sex with Olivia Munn, and if there's one
Good on
thing,
him.
if there's one thing that you can rate your quarterback on, it's who they bang, and well,
yeah.
he kind of wins. He kind of wins that game.
He does. He wins a lot of games, and that's one of them.
Yeah. And now our buddy Randy, who Dominic you don't know, he's a Green Bay fan, so he's naturally insufferable. He will say that Aaron Rodgers should have won MVP every single fucking year. Last year he was garbage.
He was garbage.
Yes.
Last year Aaron Rodgers, and again he had one of the worst lines as well. And Jordy Nelson was gone, and Brady Cakesy, Eddie Lacy could not run the fucking ball to save his life. His defense wasn't very good at all. He plays in a pretty tough division as it is. And although the Lions should have beat him like twice, but we all know what happened. He threw for 60% completion rating last year, 3,800 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Again, he still refuses to go over the double digits as far as interceptions are concerned. But he did have 8 fumbles. He only had a 92 passer rating. And actually, the total QBR, he was the 10th overall at 64.9. By the way, Tom Brady was below him in total QBR.
Yes.
But Cam Newton was right above him.
So there's a glaring number though that didn't get mentioned, and that's 46 sacks.
Yeah,
46 sacks.
I'm sure that's near the top of the league. I don't know what the other.
He
guys
got
are
sacked
looking
more than Ryan Tannehill last year. Blake Bortles had 51. So it looks like he was number 2 at 46. Yep, he was number 2 at 46.
You know, and that's saying a lot because Aaron Rodgers can get the ball out real quick.
Yeah, he's got a Marino.
I'm a Lions fan. I've watched that shit my whole life, basically. I mean, between him and Brett Favre, it's just really quick release quarterbacks that we can't fucking get to, and they always beat us. But yeah, he's amazing, and he's probably the only one that we're all giving an exception to the stats for, because he literally did not have an offensive line last year.
Right.
He was playing behind fucking people that should have been on practice squads.
Yes.
It was patchwork at best. Aaron Rodgers is he's boundlessly talented, and I hate it. I hate it so much, and I wish that he would fall off the face of the earth, but he's only 32. I have probably 6 more years of this before I can really hope for competitiveness. Man, and he's got weapons. This year he's got so many weapons, and Eddie Lacy decided to work out this offseason. So it looks like we're in for another Green Bay year. And they addressed the offensive line. We did a draft special on the first episode. They did address the offensive line in the draft and through free agency. So,
2 insights. First of all, I was going to look up some more advanced stats for Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers' wife is a more popular search result than Aaron Rodgers' anything afterwards.
Aaron Rodgers' wife. He doesn't have one, though.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is. That's why I brought it.
And then family, brother. Hail Mary is number 4 and stats is 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what Aaron Rodgers' wife turns up. Nothing. He doesn't have a wife. It's Olivia Munn, who is amazing. She is bae, obviously.
I think that people were just looking for that to masturbate to, honestly.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
and also,
you people.
Also, he averaged 238.8 yards per game, which is nowhere near his career high, but still one of the top quarterbacks in the league after having no line. So he carried that team completely on his back. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, he's so good, and I wish he was worse. I wish he was way worse.
His best yards per game in the past 5 years was actually 309.5 in 2011.
That's insanity.
Yeah. So he's just he's always going to be amazing, and there's nothing any of us can do about it.
Even after he retires, like he's still gonna be with Olivia Munn, let's face it, or someone better, because it's fucking Aaron Rodgers. A new model will come out and it'll be like, well, and it won't be like a shitty thing. She'll like Olivia Munn will die in his arms of cancer he tried to prevent himself, and he's like the Hugh Jackman of the NFL, right? There's just nothing wrong with him, and he's a good Twitter follow. He's an excellent Twitter follow.
Interesting.
I can't even deal with him. He's just one of the. He's the opposite of Russell Wilson to me. Like, I want to hate Aaron Rodgers. I despise him on the field when he's playing the Lions, but every other time I'm just like looking at him like he's super dreamy. He's like that hot girl that I refuse to ask to dance with me at prom or homecoming or whatever happens.
This is getting a little too real, Jake. I don't know.
You broke my heart, Ashley. So we're gonna pick our breakout. What quarterback do you think has the like a possibility to crack this ranking? Like who's someone we don't expect to really take a step forward? Maybe and maybe next year we'll be talking about him as number 1 or 2. Probably not lower than that though, because that would be garbage. That'd be terrible. Like I think he's gonna be ranked number 6 next year. It's a terrible prediction.
So you guys not gonna like me. Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. Okay. So here's the thing about Kirk Cousins.
Uh-huh.
I can't deal with his face either. It's the nose. And he is also a Michigan State football player, and I'm a Michigan fan. And he walked down the thing and did the "you like that," which I should like, but I think is retarded. And he's also very preachy. He's like Tim Tebow with talent. It's super weird.
All valid points. He does have a big, dumb fucking face.
It's the face, yeah. Yeah, God,
but
he's super accurate.
He's on the Redskins. He's got a 78.3 overall rating, and he's just good. Like
he has a total QBR of 70. He was number 6 last year. So you think Kirk Cousins is taking a step forward?
I think because the thing is, he's on the Redskins right now.
Right. He almost threw for 70% completion, by the way. That's bullshit.
Oh. Yeah. He's far too good to be playing on the Redskins, and I think if he takes his skills elsewhere and tones down the "I'm the greatest" rhetoric, then he could do just fine.
I am 2 months and 12 days older than him.
Also, he looks like he's got like a really huge tumor right in the middle of his head.
Yeah, I'm looking at his face right now. He needs to shave it because he's clearly balding, but he's trying to prevent it. It's not working.
He's doing like the Donald Trump thing where the hair is...
No, I want him to totally shave it and then just huge beard. It'll change his entire outlook on his life. A beard changes everything.
If he shaves his head, we'll see the giant, like, orb on top of it. I don't think he wants that.
John, how do you feel about Kirk Cousins?
Incidentally, if you guys need some eye candy from looking at Kirk Cousins pictures too much, just pull up some pictures of Josh McCown's jawline and you'll be good to go.
All right, thanks.
Josh McCown's jawline, it looks like he was drawn into existence.
That's what I'm saying.
By like someone that was trying to draw Superman but accidentally made him blonde. Oh my God, Josh McCown. Although Josh McCown made the dumbest football play last season, in my opinion, where he's playing for the Browns, which, I mean, that counts. That's up there. But then he laid his body out for the Browns and tried to dive into the end zone and got fucking tornadoed, and his ribs cracked in half. His body gave up on himself and Cleveland. It was awful.
It doesn't take much to give up on Cleveland.
His jaw remained untouched, though. He's got good hair too. Goodness, I'm looking at it. It just doesn't stop being good.
He shouldn't have led with his rib cage. He should have led with his chin.
That's right. It would have been like one of those. It would have been like a punch.
Yeah, like those old timey cartoons where Superman punches through the wall with his finger. That would be like him, but with his chin.
Yes.
It's just indelible jawline.
My up and comer, Jake.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking, by the way. Is not really much of a surprise. It's Andrew Luck.
And okay, Andrew Luck is sort of a cop out.
It is. He's gonna churn you some butter, build you a fireplace, and then throw a touchdown.
He'll build you a chair that'll last 3 generations.
Exactly.
These are Amish jokes, people. Yeah. Get with it.
Get with the program. Now, I do have a backup answer because I know that's a cop-out.
Yeah, so I was like, does Andrew Luck count?
Andrew Luck kind of counts. Okay, statistically, Andrew Luck is not that great of a quarterback. Like, he's just.
But we all know in our hearts of hearts that he has potential to be amazing.
You say potential, but you look at his his regular statistics. His career high completion percentage is 61%. However, that year he threw 40 touchdowns.
He made those throws count.
Right, he sure did. He also ran for 3 touchdowns and like 270 yards or something.
I'd like to see what his clutch accounted for statistics are, because he really, when it comes down to it, he can make some great things happen.
Oh, he's a super good quarterback. I actually like that pick. He also didn't have an offensive line at all ever in his whole career, so a lot of those stats aren't really helpful. He will improve. They did address it this year, finally. They drafted like 3 people and signed some dudes, so hopefully it goes on. So who's your backup plan though, John?
Tyrod Taylor.
Ooh, Tyrod Taylor. By the way, was the number 7 overall total quarterback rating player last year. I don't hate that pick, but he kind of throws like this slow looping pass. It's super weird. Like, he doesn't have a lot of zip. You hear that thrown around, but
right, but he tends to drop it in like he's dropping it into a basket, and it's really pretty to watch. And I think Rex Ryan got the opportunity to make some good moves in the offseason, and I think Buffalo is going to come back and they'll make sure that the Jets and the Dolphins stay fighting for 3rd and 4th spot in the AFC East this year. So.
The Bills are a good team, man. Like, I like Taylor. I like that he's so mobile. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry last season, and he scored 4 touchdowns on the ground. He only threw for 20 touchdowns, but Watkins was injured for a lot of the year.
Right.
And they had some inconsistency at running back with a lot of injuries going on. Although Carlos Williams was fucking awesome. I picked him up and won some games because of him, and then he got fucking concussed.
And he did only throw 6 interceptions all season.
Right, that's really fantastic. Really what you should be looking at is his efficiency. And with Sammy Watkins out for a lot of the year, he threw 63.7% completion rating. Like, he had like Robert Woods and some white dude that I'm not familiar with to throw the ball to for most of the year. So yeah, I think he did a really good job of really protecting the ball, which is what you want.
Also, some interesting just drive-by statistics on Tyrod Taylor. He did not break 65 for his completion rating, but he did score 20 touchdowns, which is interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of that's big plays with Sammy Watkins at the end of the season.
Yeah, but he was still throwing for 8 yards per attempt. So
he was
getting the ball.
He had a lot of completion. They had a lot of they had good routes a lot of the time. If you watched a Buffalo game last season, you'll see Watkins at the end of the year is when they were really clicking. You'll see Watkins kind of he'll run a lot of the deep routes and stuff, and Tyrod can get it out there, but not really great. So what they started to do was these intermediate routes, and it really helped.
Weird thing for me to say as a Dolphins fan, I'm actually looking forward to watching the Bills this season too. I really am. I hate to say it.
You're from Rochester, New York. You should be a Bills fan.
I know. My father loved Don Shula, and so he ended up a Dolphins fan, and I grew up obviously watching football with my father, so I did too.
I think he's got potential. I don't know. The thing with the Bills is they're should be good, but aren't in terms of just their history. And I know that's not a fair thing to say because every year could be different. But I don't know if that's the right team for him to break out because they're just so inconsistent on whether or not they actually perform in a season, no matter how statistically good they're supposed to be. That's just my input on it.
Yeah, I think it's a Rex Ryan thing.
Yeah, I think so too. But you also know, Dom, what winters are like in that part of the country. Those guys are practicing in it, and I know that there's other teams too. But the fact that they can in a small market like that still hold on to a team like that, I think says something about the city overall. The Bills sort of end up being known as a blue collar team because of that sort of mentality, and I personally think that he is the right fit for that team because I think he brings that kind of work ethic to the team, and I think it showed in his play last year.
I do like the idea of a running quarterback in that weather.
Yes, definitely.
He's just not as bulky as you'd like. He's a little string bean.
You know what? It's a valid point, because the night is dark and full of terrors here, and I think he could shine.
Okay, well, the important thing to really take note here is that you're both just grossly incorrect. The breakout quarterback next year is neither of those players, and also not Andrew Luck. It's Matthew Stafford. And this, at first I was like, am I being a homer? I asked myself, Jake, are you being a homer? And then I said, maybe a little. Let's look at the stats before we make that pick. No, I'm correct. I'm objectively right. Here's the rundown of his fucking statistics last year. Okay, so we all remember in 2011 he threw for 5,000 yards. He was number 3 overall, and then they lost to the Saints because Detroit couldn't fucking hold on to interceptions. They had 4 of them. Anyways, I'm not mad about it still. Don't worry about it. I don't remember every single snap of that game. So he threw for 67% completion rate. 67.
That's huge.
Yeah, his next highest was 63 the year he threw for 5,000 yards. Okay? In this one, they implemented this Theo Riddick style game, which is where they should have been 3 years ago. Honestly, this is where the entire league has been shifting to these short passes to playmaking backs in the backfield, which Theo Riddick is, and they just hadn't been doing it. But then he also threw for 32 touchdowns, which is his second career high, to the 5,000-yard season, and he only threw 13 interceptions, which is good for Matt Stafford because he never has a fucking offensive line. I once watched this man get eaten whole by Julius Peppers in his prime because Jeff Backus looked at Julius Peppers, thought, that's a threatening black person, and avoided blocking him. So, he's got a better offensive line this year. They addressed it in the draft. They got some free agents working. He didn't have a lot of long passes. Usually that was what the hallmark of a Lions offense was. Dump, dump, dump. It doesn't work. 3 and out, 3 and out. Huge fucking Calvin Johnson play. Guess who's not on the team anymore? Safety blanket Calvin Johnson. We're no longer just throwing deep passes for the sake of it because it works out sometimes. We're throwing efficient passes, continually moving the ball, keeping drives going. And do you know when this happened? Do you gentlemen know what happened when the great Jim Bob Cooter got involved? Jim Bob Cooter. He started after the okay, so they had lost like all sorts of games. I think they had 1 win. Yeah, they had 1 win at the fucking break. That's awful. We go on the break, we fire our offensive coordinator, and we get Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob. And so, by the way, he had one good game, and it was a win against Chicago in overtime before the Jim Bob Cooter transition. Chicago and overtime last season. He had to throw 405 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So after that point, they moved to this Theo Riddick style game, and what happens? I'm gonna run down the completion percentages for you. First game, this is after the bye, 63%. That's pretty good. It's an uptick, not a huge one, but it's more than about 5 of the games he had played in the past. Then a downtick to 62.9. Then we get 71, 65, 88, wow. 78, 71. How many interceptions does he throw since Jim Bob Cooter comes into play? 2 interceptions. Are you kidding me? His quarterback rating, insane. His lowest quarterback rating with Jim Bob Cooter was against St. Louis, who has one of the best defenses in the league, and was 84. Every other one was above 100. It was 102, 137, 148, 118, 119. These are elite numbers.
Very much
Before that, Before that, his highest was 126, and that was in a loss to Minnesota. Before that was the win in overtime against Chicago. None of the other ones have triple digits. I'm telling you, the man can play football. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Hallelujah! A quarterback is born.
I do not hate that pick either. Obviously, you know that Matt Stafford's always been one of my favorite QBs to watch. We've talked about it before. When you look at
his mechanics are ridiculous.
Oh, they are.
He has there a few years ago when he had like a really bad season, he kept throwing off his back foot. Since then, he's had fantastic mechanics. The guy has one of the strongest arms. I think he's number 2 in the league as far as like long passes, like ability to throw long passes. I think, but Roethlisberger's number 1, and he can fit it into tight spots. He's afraid of nothing. I mean, he won Detroit over against Cleveland, throwing a touchdown to Brandon Pettigrew with a broken shoulder. He is a Detroit Lion. We're never letting him go. And God damn it, he actually played well. And he's like, this new system. You watch it, and they won. They lost 2 games. One was to that Hail Mary in Green Bay, and then they lost a legit slobber knocker to St. Louis, who was a good team.
Right.
14 to 21. I mean, they only lost by a touchdown. After that, I mean, they blew out Philadelphia at Thanksgiving. We all remember that. They beat a good Oakland team. They beat Green Bay 18-16. By the way, they beat New Orleans after he'd come off destroying New York. They beat San Francisco and they beat Chicago. But man, like, they beat good teams last year without Ndamukong Suh, and the offense was garbage the first half of the season, and they fired, I think it was Linehan.
First of all, that was actually a very good pick. I just didn't think of it because I wasn't thinking about Detroit, because Jake is the only one who does.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do respect your pick. I think it's not a bad one, considering I think that he needs Jim Bob to survive. And that's
in my experience, he's been in the league since 2009. I think Linehan was his first, and of course he got fired halfway through the season. Scott Linehan was his first carryover offensive coordinator in his career. And by the way, he's had 4 head coaches, or 5, 6. Has he had 6 fucking head coaches?
I think he might have. Wait.
Yeah, it's awful. So, and now he finally has a good one. Like, seriously, he has had no consistency, including an offensive line that's never been there. And the dude still almost single-handedly, like that year that he threw for 5,000 yards, there was no defense. I mean, we had an okay defense, but it wasn't great. It wasn't top of the line. So, yeah, man, I expect good things from him, unless he gets injured, which is totally possible.
The numbers on him are quite impressive, just in terms of the fact that he beat a lot of his 5,000-yard season records. I think that he needs, and this isn't a condemnation of him by any stretch of the imagination, but he really leans heavily on Jim Bob and his type of offenses. And I don't think Kirk Cousins is necessarily a better pick, but I think he's just as viable, considering that he did have a better, in terms of better completion rating. He was far more consistent throughout the season, and he still threw for almost 4,200 yards on the Redskins.
And I'm also counting on the emergence of Eric Ebron, who this is usually when tight ends take a turn, and he looked really good in some games. He just had some drop issues, but now he's the number 2 option. And he's physically superior to almost every linebacker. So I'm really looking forward to that. Also, Matt Stafford is, according to Pass EPA, which is a clutch-weighted expected points added on plays with pass attempts, he's the number 10 overall quarterback last season.
Wow.
And that was with a shitty line. I mean, he's right under Ben Roethlisberger. He's above Andy Dalton, Cam Newton, and Aaron Rodgers.
And so you bring up the line. That's actually a really good point. And you're starting to sway me toward Matt Stafford, Jake. And here's why. Because I've started looking at his numbers more. So we've talked about the 67% completion, over 4,200 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
The 67%, he didn't eclipse 67% until after Jim Bob Cooter.
Yeah, that's
actually
nuts.
No. He did it He did it 3 times, but it was barely 68%. So I mean, yeah, it's nuts. 88% against New Orleans. 22 for 25.
So 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, which isn't, I mean, it's double digits, but
he's got some drop issues too,
right.
Especially like Ebron's worth 3 of those.
Here's the one that's insane though. The number that sticks out to me is the 44 sacks. So when you're talking about the line issues and the fact that they're making the moves to fix the line, with numbers like that, if that sack number goes down, you're going to get 3 or 4 more touchdowns. You're probably going to get 1 or 2 less interceptions, and you could have a pass percentage that jumps to 70. This is, I mean, you're right. It's insane to think of what he could do, what he would have done last year if he had any help on the front line. That's nuts.
He's the 15th most sacked quarterback since active, not since, but for between 2009 and 2015, he's had 205 sacks. So add 9 years to that, Tom Brady only has 200 more.
Wow.
So not even 200. It's 197. So I mean, it's just like he has really, really not had any help up front his entire career. I mean, when Dominic Raiola is your best lineman, you're not doing well.
Depends on so many factors. I say if he throws above 70 in his first game of next season, and that's the road to breakout. Because if they have anything on the O-line, and if he can protect himself at all, then I think he could potentially be one of the one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in one game.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. The first game is against the Colts, so he could have a pretty good rate there. Then it's Titans, who have a good defense. Packers, Bears, Eagles, Rams, Redskins, Texans, Vikings, Jaguars, Vikings, Saints. That's a pretty good schedule. I don't hate that schedule. Jaguars are probably pretty good now, though. It's probably not an automatic win anymore. But Texans suck. The Eagles suck. Bears suck. I would not be surprised if he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks next season. Honestly.
I could see it. It depends on a lot of factors. But again, you're a gambling man, so more power to you. And I would look forward to it because I've never been like a career Lions fan, but they've got a very trademarked style of play that would be kind of cool to see that.
I just want to see him win a playoff game, if I'm honest. I don't really care about the other stuff. Anything after that is gravy because they haven't won since Barry Sanders was there, and then they got destroyed by, I want to say, the Redskins. But I don't know. Maybe it was the Chiefs. Which one of those is NFC? Redskins?
Redskins are NFC.
Redskins. I'm pretty sure they got destroyed. But, that's sort of lists. Hooray.
Hooray! Dun, 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 dun.
Who are, in the comments, who are your top 5 quarterbacks? Are we right? Am only I right? Which is the correct answer. Who's going to be your breakout quarterback? And try not to be a homer.
Yeah, don't be a homer.
You fucking homers.
Notice I didn't pick Ryan Tannehill. I certainly could have. No, I couldn't have.
I thought you might.
No, I couldn't.
I really thought you might.
I couldn't have.
But he's not good. He's just not a good quarterback. Like I'm surprised Andy Dalton did anything last season. And he's gonna have to give me like 3 straight good seasons for me to be like, yeah, Andy Dalton's a viable fucking quarterback in this league. He was the number 5th overall total QBR.
Yeah, he had 106 over. He had 106.3 rating with 25 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions.
None of us picked him.
Nope.
None of us.
I was like, I couldn't remember a single like big thing he did last season. It's like that QBR can't be right.
He made Tyler Eifert look like an all-star, I guess, or Tyler Eifert made him look like an all-star. What he did do is cut his interceptions down.
Yeah, he really did. Only 7.
Like
last
he did.
Year.
His previous career low was 13.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he cut him in half. Actually, the year before he threw 17, so he cut 10 out of it, which really is what made him look better. It was just the non-turnovers. He threw for a comparable completion percentage. His yards were actually lower. His touchdowns were his 3rd best season. Like, it wasn't anything really other than the turnovers. Like, he also fumbled the ball fewer times. So, and was the rushing. He scored 3 touchdowns on the ground. Not atypical.
Why are you making a case for him?
So, I can't make a case for him. He's garbage. I'm saying he was so middling. It's just he just didn't turn the ball over, so his QB rating is inflated. But they're a running team that he needs to manage. Like he's got a big arm at times, and obviously AJ Green is a monster. He's just a complete animal. But Andy Dalton is just what you want is Alex Smith out of Andy Dalton. If you can just be really efficient and never really dazzle, like you're good for 2 dazzles a year, that's fine. That's what you want. That's great. But I don't think Andy Dalton's ever going to win you a game by himself.
Alex Smith is another one, though, that needs to get his line worked on because he had 45 sacks last year.
Alex Smith is he's the perennial, like, vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, you're never not going to want it.
Right.
But you never want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I guess I have vanilla ice cream.
He threw me 20
Okay.
touchdowns and only 7 interceptions.
Every year. Every single year. His completion rates are really, really good, though. And Jeremy Maclin made him look way better, granted. But he's always in the mid 60s to low 70s. It's just where he's at. He's just been sitting there, like, 70%, 60%, 65, 65. Those are the last 4 years.
That's what he needs to do.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just kind of his thing, man. And I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. If he's not turning the ball over, that's cool. He's actually way more athletic than people give him credit for. He ran for almost 500 yards last year.
Oh, yeah, he definitely is.
That's crazy speak. But yeah, so those are our people. Who has the best beard out of all of them? I'm gonna go with Andrew Luck, because it doesn't grow on the top half of his face.
There is only one answer, Jake, and it is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't on this list, but he does have the best beard in the NFL. That is correct. Who has the
Are we
best
allowed to
mustache?
Are we allowed to talk about physical descriptions without Lou here?
It's Jake Cutler. Jake
I feel
Cutler has the
like-
best mustache. Aaron Rodgers
feel-
is also he's number 2. No, Lou. We're not trying to fillet them. If we're trying to fillet them, then Lou has to come on.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So, any closing remarks, gentlemen?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show for my inaugural performance, I guess.
Cherry
And,
popped.
Yep. Feel free to tell me how garbage I am in the comments below, because I know there will be
in my
people.
experience, usually this leads to scary amounts of bleeding and some crying and resentment. But this cherry popping went way better than usual. That makes it sound like I fuck teenagers all the time. Like, ha ha! Took your virginity. It's mine. It's all true.
Stealing virginities left and right.
It's like the Hamburglar, but virginities. Yeah. So we could quit there. I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah. All right.
For John and Dominic, I'm Jake, and I'm sorry if I took your virginity. I didn't mean to. I didn't know. And then you got clingy, and it got weird, and then I just kind of ghosted. That was on you, honestly. You're the one that did this. I was up front with you the whole time. I was like, you know what? I'm not looking for anything serious, and then you keep blowing my phone up. And I stopped looking at your Snapchats, and you stalked me on Twitter, so I had to block you and make that private. So,
This joke's going on for.
It's
way
not a
too
joke.
long.
It's serious.
We should add this before it gets even more.
I'm not.
It's so real right now.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
God damn it, John! I trusted you.
John's never sorry for anything.
John, who's your number 2? Or I mean, not number 2. Who's your up and comer?
My up
number
and
2.
comer. Not
Number
much
2
of an
is
up and
objectively Ben Roethlisberger, because I'm right.
You're garbage, Jake.
My number 2 is not.
Your number 2 is your up and comer, John. I'm sorry, I fucked with you. I messed you up. I
Everything
apologize. No,
everything
this
is
is a total
horrible.
train wreck.
That's
What have
all
we
right.
done?
We'll get it back on the tracks.